Okay, so in just a moment, what we're going to be doing is hand painting some of the parts. And just to try and show the paint a bit more clearly and how it works, what I've chosen to do, and here's an example of it, which you'll see in just a moment, is the undercarriage bay. And this is the rear bulkhead kind of within the undercarriage bay. On the real aircraft, this is actually a lighter grey, pretty much the same shade as the underside. But because the plastic, is a bluey grey colour, that's not really going to show up very well when you're trying to hand paint. So just for the sake really of showing you the colour and the paint and how it works in more detail, what I've done is used interior US green. So just to make that point really, that on the real aircraft it was more likely to be a lighter grey than it would be US interior green. Because if we just hold up the cockpit for a second, you can see here that putting a light grey onto that isn't really going to show that too well on the video, so that's why I've done that. So that's coming up in just a second, and hopefully that will be easier for you to see. Having cleaned our parts ready for painting, this is the next stage, and I just want to show you what can happen here sometimes. So we've got some 226, which is interior green, US interior green, and I'm just going to get a couple of drops of Humbrol acrylic thinner, and we'll just put that in the next bay over there, and we can use that as a little reservoir to dip into when we want a bit more thinner. So a little bit on the thinner, just enough to wet the brush, and then into our paint reservoir here on our palette. So I've just got those prepared up here. Okay, get a nice little mix of kind of single cream kind of thickness, we'll do. And then taking our part that we cleaned earlier, all we do is just get straight into that. Now, it is quite thin, so going to thicken that up a little bit. And just gently work that into the surface. So the first thing you should notice here is that that's not going to cover completely in one go. That's normal. That's completely normal when you're hand painting acrylics, and it's especially true when you're using these Humbrol paint dropper acrylics. So don't try and cover it in one, because if you do, you're going to lose a lot of this fine detail. There's some really nice detail on this. This part here, this is the rear wall. It probably doubles up as the firewall for the engine, but it comes down nonetheless. And it's basically the rear of the undercarriage bay. It's not a firewall actually, it's just the rear of the undercarriage bay. And on the Wildcat, you've got this really chunky undercarriage, which is very much a feature of the aircraft. So what that will do, just applying that nice first little thin coat there, is give you, well, it'll preserve the detail, and as you can see here, has given you a nice sort of thin coat. Some of that blue-grey is shining through still. So it's up to you. What you could do is just leave that to dry off. I'll just leave it for an hour or so. Give it a quick blast with the hairdryer as well. That speeds it all up, which is great. And you can get back to work on it a bit sooner. If you want a thicker layer than that, you can come back and we can just apply a second coat. So we'll have a look at that in just a few mo's, all right? Okay, so cleaning up, we've applied the first coat of paint to our rear undercarriage bay. Get rid of the majority of the paint, just simply into some water. Nice water over here, and a little reservoir. Just gently roll the brush on the side of the plastic container, and when you can see no more come out, we just get our tissue and just check and see how that is. There's still a little bit coming out in here again. Gently pull that through, and that's got rid of the vast majority. But if you just look carefully here, there's still a tiny residue there, and it's important, I think, for the life of your brush to get rid of that. And so in order to do that, it's useful to just clean away that final residue. So I just get the little jar of isopropyl alcohol again, just roll the brush on the side, inside here, and just remove that final excess. And as you can see here, we'll probably just about make that out. That's the very last bit left right in the stock of the brush. And the good thing about that is if you get rid of that, that will make your brush last a lot longer. Okay, so that's our brush nice and clean. And when the paint's dry, we can come back and look at applying a second coat. Okay, so I've zapped the rear undercarriage bay with the hairdryer. It's been about 20 minutes, something like that. And it certainly feels and looks really dry. So I think we're good to go with a little second coat there. I just want to make the green a little bit more solid, particularly on the flat areas, because what's happened, it's quite nice. We've got some gathering of the paint pigment in and around the detail, which is great because that's kind of enhanced it, given it a little bit of shadowing. So back in with our little flat brush, into the thinner, into the paint. And we're just gonna thicken up that base layer again. Now, if it hasn't occurred to you already, it's worth just saying that, of course, if you sprayed this part, it would be done. It would be done in one coat. You wouldn't need any more. And what we'll do is, if you check out one or two of the other videos, you can see me doing that in other areas of the project. So always choice here. But if you enjoy hand painting and you just want to, or you don't have an airbrush, then this is the way to go. Just build it up. Probably 2 or 3 coats will do the job. Bear in mind, this is 70-second scale. Also, what this can do is, if you don't go too mad, you can make this look quite nice, almost quite weathered, really, weathered in the sense, just a bit worn, used, sort of uneven, which I think is no bad thing at all, because it helps to make it look a bit more realistic. So actually, you've got some nice depth now to that part. I don't really agree, but obviously what we're going to do is do some detail painting of the pulleys in there. We'll do those sort of silver, metallic silver, and those should stand out a little bit more. But all that's to come later, but that's how you just build up the depth. And as you see, each coat successively you apply, not too thick. You can't do it in one coat, so don't try. 2, 3 little coats will help to build up the parts depth and realism. Okay, so we'll be back for more.